Welcome to the third episode of The Truth. Welcome to the third episode of The Truth. Please do not forget to like. Please like and subscribe first. Even before you like, just subscribe. After you subscribe, turn on your post notifications to be notified whenever I post new videos. And of course, the topic that we're going to be talking about today is very interesting. So do not forget to drop a comment on whatever view you share or opinion you have. A lot of white people have taught us that our country, Nigeria, is a third world country. So much so that even us, we start referring to ourselves by this insulting term. But not only is Nigeria not a third world country, it's also demeaning to refer to it as one. Nations are usually ignorantly categorized or divided into three worlds as the first, second, and third world nations. This method of categorization is completely outdated, inconsistent, and contentious. First of all, the term first world was originally used to refer to countries that were in alliance with the United States and other Western nations in opposition to the then Soviet Union during the Cold War in the 1950s. And after the end of after the fall of the Soviet Union in 1991, those same countries are now characterized by high literacy, political and economic stability, rule of law, democracy, and all those other cool development terms. Examples of first world nations are the United States, Canada, and Japan. Secondly, the term second world was used originally to refer to countries that were under the control of the then Soviet Union or in alliance with the then Soviet Union during the Cold War. And after the end of the Cold War, those same countries are now characterized or being referred to as simply more economically and politically stable than third world countries. Examples of some second world nations are China, Russia, and Turkey. Lastly, third world nation originally was a term used to refer to nations that were neither in alliance with the United States nor the then Soviet Union during the Cold War. Nowadays, they are referred to as countries that fall under the political or economic developing class. Examples of some third world nations are a lot of countries in Africa or Asia that weren't in alliance with either the United States or the Soviet Union during the then Cold War. Now, Nigeria cannot be considered a third world country because this system of categorizing or dividing countries into worlds is simply outdated and offensive at best. The term was coined by a French anthropologist and historian named Alfred Salvi. He observed groups of countries, many of which were former colonies that didn't share the ideological views of Western capitalism or Soviet socialism. Three Worlds, One Planet, wrote Alfred Salvi in a 1952 article published in the L'Observateur. Okay, even after the evolution of this categorization, following the end of the Cold War, it has become very inconsistent in its meaning because there is no longer a universal way of defining a first, second, or third world nation in terms of economic and political stability. And I'll prove it to you. For example, Saudi Arabia is technically a third world country. Saudi Arabia, whose GDP per capita is a whopping 20,110.32 USD, that's US dollars. And Turkey, a so-called second world nation, has its GDP per capita at 8,338.17 USD. That means Saudi Arabia, a third world country, is almost 3 times richer than Turkey, a second world nation. Doesn't that make Saudi Arabia now a first world nation? I don't know, you tell me. And is GDP per capita the only way to determine the economic stability of a nation? No, of course not. We also have unemployment rates and inflation rates. Another example is Nigeria. Yes, we are all justifiably dissatisfied with the country. But still, the fact remains the fact. Nigeria's unemployment rate is at 33%. And it's a third world country. South Africa, that is considered a second world nation, has its unemployment rate at a whopping 35%. To your long. to your loan. At least that's still 2% higher than Nigeria. So it's not fair for anybody, any white person or black person, to be beating us down, to be beating our persona down, saying, oh, they are a third world country. Besides, a lot of first world countries have many demographics within them that lack basic amenities to meet the minimum standard of living. An example is some areas of big cities in the United States like Chicago. South side of Chicago, for example, is an area where they are extremely poverty-stricken. Or the northern McAlvis 53206 neighborhood lack basic amenities to meet minimum standard of living. Shout out to my people in Chicago, by the way. And a lot of so-called third world countries have many demographics within them that live way above the minimum standard of living. An example is Banana Island in Lagos. It is not uncommon for you to find houses that are worth over $1 million in Banana Island. In fact, the one that I even want to buy itself, I just need to move some place around. It's $3 million. See, $3 million. $3 million. My point is, how much a country makes is not enough, or a country's is not enough to gauge a country's standard of living. Let me make the picture clear to you. Assuming we have household A and household B. In household A, there are 10 people living there. In household B, there are 10 people living there. Household A makes 10 million, household B makes 7 million. But out of the 10 million that household A makes, only 2 people get to take 4 million each, leaving 2 million to be shared amongst the remaining 8 idiots, or because they don't have sense. 8 people will now share 2 million. While household B that makes 7 million, that 7 million is shared equally amongst the 10 people. You see that household B does not make as much as household A, yet household B standards of living will definitely be better than that of household A, because 2 people cannot be driving expensive cars and eating good food and this. To show you the level of indefinition of this categorization, an MIT economist, Peter Temin, argues that the United States of America has regressed to a developing nation, as close to 80% of the entire population of US are part of the low-wage sector, laden with debt and facing fewer possibilities of growth. So it's so unclear, this whole third world, second world, first world business. My theory is that during the Cold War, countries that were either in alliance with the United States or the then Soviet Union were of equal economic and political class. And countries that were not in alliance, many were former colonies, and of course, how many colonies are now richer than the colony itself or the colonizer. So even after the Cold War, this assumption that all countries that were in alliance with the US were almost at equal economic and political class with the which isn't absolutely untrue, but to every rule there's an exception. This assumption became a rule. So majority of the persona of countries that fell in this worldly category were generalized to all. Assuming US, that was the first of the first world countries, Japan, New Zealand, and this were very developed. They say, okay, all countries that are in the first world are developed. Second world, so that's my own theory. So please refrain from calling my fatherland a third world country, because I will check you. Nigeria is a developing nation, but calling it or categorizing us as last takes a lot more intellect than what categorizing us as third world proves. Simply because you're white, or because NEPA does not take lights in your country, or because snakes and monkeys don't go to your ministries or your parastatals or your house of assemblies and so on to swallow billions, that doesn't make you better than my country, or that doesn't mean you are a third world country. Don't you know that there are a lot of jungles in Nigeria? Please, we're a developing nation, and by the grace of God, in 4 years we will be one of the most developed countries in the world. Thank you very much. So please don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Please, your comment is very important. I want to know what your views are on my documentation or what I've said. and please turn on your post notification so you can be notified whenever I post it. So did I mention that you should subscribe? Subscribe, go. Subscribe. Thank you very much. Love.